Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us from. We are here today with Justin Ryhal. Did I say that right, Justin?
You got it, Scott.
Oh,
No
awesome.
problem.
All right.
Well,
So Justin is the head of alliances for Perimeter 81. Perimeter 81 joins ITBOG as a new sponsor Q4 2023. So welcome. Justin, where are you at?
yeah, so I am in a town called Safety Harbor, just between Tampa Bay and Clearwater, Florida. So close to some nice sandy beaches and beautiful weather.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love Florida. Well, I'm not too far from you. I'm in South Carolina, a little
Very nice.
up 2 states. So the weather's a lot alike, but I don't know, it's 50 degrees here in South Carolina. I bet it's probably 10 degrees warmer where you are.
Yeah, just about. We were actually low 50s this morning, so it was cool enough for me to break out a hoodie. I had to dust it off. It's been a while since I put one on, but
Well,
no, yeah,
I like the hoodie. Perimeter 81. I would love to get one of those hoodies.
yeah. We
I'll
just
wear
need
it.
to get the checkpoint company added to it and get some rebranding done. But yeah, we'll see if we can ship one off to you, Scott. Get you some swag to wear. We'd love that.
Awesome. Well, I will wear it with pride. So, well, Justin, I think we are here today to talk about avoiding the network complexity trap and how Perimeter 81 can help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Be okay, Scott. I could share out my screen if that would
Yeah,
work. I can bring up a few slides to share with the audience.
sure, absolutely.
Let me do that. Put this in a slideshow. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, so I certainly, by all means, Scott, let's keep it conversational if you've got any questions. But my goal today was really, to your point on the overview, was just to go through network complexity and what Perimeter U1 does, how we solve that, and sort of the new paradigm of remote work and with network and infrastructure changing to support remote and hybrid users that are not working behind a brick and mortar wall and leveraging a on-prem firewall. So that's kind of where we play. I was just going to go through a couple slides here. I can share with your audience a little bit of about the company, where we have come from and where we are today. I know we may be new to some out there, although we've grown significantly in our channel business over the last couple years. And then I think it'd be interesting just to go through the product architecture to give an overview of what we do and what it looks like, and actually dive into a real brief demo and give everyone a feel for the product and sort of the simplicity and ease of use that we bring to managed service providers, if that
That
works.
that sounds wonderful. I'm super excited to get a demo.
Awesome, good deal. Yeah, so who we are, just to give everybody this cliche entry slide, right? But I think it's good context because it shows the market in terms of where we've been, where we are, the fast growth that we've experienced over the last 5+ years that we've been in existence. So company's actually an Israeli-based cybersecurity company that we were founded in 2018. Took on about 155 million total through a Series C, and showed really great success in the market growth. Especially, as I go through the product, you'll see where we play with remote work and protecting users where they are really plays into the modern threat landscape. So we grew fast, and actually just about a month and a half ago in September, we were officially acquired and the deal closed with Checkpoint. So we're now part of a 30+year-old, very well-versed cybersecurity organization, and we're excited about the future of Perimeter One as part of Checkpoint and all that they'll help in terms of our roadmap and advancing the product and the expertise that they bring, and then we'll be able to work with down the road. So that's who we are. We've got about 3,000 customers to date. A lot of MSPs have come onto our platform. We've got some excited go-to-market structure, and I'd be remiss to mention just about a month ago we actually launched with Pax8. So we've got some great opportunities in the market and some ways that MSPs can leverage our solution and take a look at it.
Very nice.
Cool. All right. So the problem, as I frame this up a little bit, just speaking a little bit about where things are at today in the modern landscape, and this is likely not new information for those that are viewing this, but I think it's a good reminder and kind of helps raise awareness around what we do specifically. So when you think about the new the sort of the new work environment, right, is folks are remote, they're either in the office, and if they are, it's maybe a day or two out of the week, but a lot of folks are primarily working from home, with fast internet and 5G available just about anywhere, and the resources are scattered all over. So you don't have on-prem resources that are being protected behind a firewall, and that really diverse landscape has shifted, and really the clarity needs to be made around how do we now protect and create a network that protects users sort of where they are, regardless of the work environment. And we talk about that moving from more on-premise appliance-based, traditional firewall-based network security to user-centric security. So actually protecting the user where they are and giving them not only that same level of security that they would in a traditional office, but it's really important to note, especially for MSPs, is give them a very good user experience, not a user experience that's negative that what they would typically experience with a traditional VPN and backhauling traffic and all the pain that comes along with that.
Well, the landscape has certainly changed over the last few years. That is for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it's, again, it creates that problem. How do I now protect that when the edge has become so distorted and we don't know where those users are actually working from, and how do we bring a product to them? So that leads us kind of what we do. And this is a bit oversimplified, and you'll be able to see in sort of the architecture going forward. But we like to say we brought forth the world's first very robust and also easy to use network security that's over the cloud edge. So we don't deliver hardware. We're a full SaaS security service. And you think about again, that new paradigm that we talked about in this modern work landscape, and the new structure is we are allowing service providers to build a network in the cloud for their customers to work off of. And we do this with very modern principles around least privilege access, leveraging identity providers and all the tools that MSPs are using today. So the integrations we have, the ease of use of the platform, the user experience that I previously mentioned for the end customer really makes this sort of an attractive offering for MSPs to build a service around.
Nice.
Yeah. So these are the kind of the three primary use cases that we address, Scott. And I'll actually start off from the bottom, is like just calling out maybe the elephant in the room is SASE. So people have heard SASE or SSE. So SASE is Secure Access Service Edge, and SSE is Secure Service Edge. And that's really the confluence of a lot of networking capabilities. So VPN, DLP, CASB, SWG, which would be Secure Web Gateway, all of those pieces coming together under one roof and offered through a single vendor. So, we have really the primary components that are necessary for MSPs to build a service around. And those two components are the remote access piece and the internet security piece as well. And then you'll see, well, you will not see in this presentation, but as we've now become part of Checkpoint, our roadmap will accelerate very quickly, and some of the other items specifically around CASB and some things we're going to be bringing to market for our partners and customers. But talking about that remote access piece, right? So it's a traditional VPN replacement. There's a lot of difficulty and a lot of pain, right? Tickets can be generated heavily through your PSA when the VPN is not connecting right, or users are experiencing a lot of latency because that traffic's going back to an office and then out to the internet, to those resources wherever they may be. It's just a really clunky user experience. And we solve that through a seamless sort of agent to tunnel through our gateways architecture, where those resources are very simply accessed through our gateway. And the users are connecting automatically regardless of where they're at. So there's no user interaction around choosing which gateway they want to go through and establishing those tunnels, no lift for them. And you'll see in that remote access piece and the private access, we have what we call firewall as a service. So you can really, going back to that concept of least privilege access, you can build firewall rules and establish a traditional, what you would similar to a traditional firewall, but in the cloud, and create policies around what services, what resources the individual users or groups that you build in Perimeter 81 can access. So you're really, narrowing the threat scape down for those individual users on the network to they're only accessing the resources they need, and therefore the security footprint becomes much more strong for not only that user but the organization as a whole. And then real quickly, I'll touch on the internet security piece. We talk about very fast, 2x fast network security through our SWIG, and we do that actually through a hybrid architecture where we have a malware protection engine. We have an SDK embedded in our agent, so it's hybrid in the sense of its agent side. We're looking at malware, HTTP, HTTPS traffic coming off the network, and then we also have URL filtering, DNS protection, other things on the network. So the users are protected regardless of connectivity to the network or not, meaning the gateway.
Nice.
So yeah, really strong security use cases that MSPs are used to solving for their customers, but not through a consolidated solution and not through a very seamless user experience that a product like ours offers.
I love the hardware, the firewall hardware elimination part.
Yeah.
You still get the benefit of the hardware-based firewall, but without the hardware.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there's so many costs and all the patching that is associated with firewalls, and a lot of times, right, I'll call it out. We see MSPs that are starting with Perimeter 81 for the customers that are fully remote in the organization, and then over time sort of evolving into that model where they're able to retire that firewall based on rolling out to the entire organization. So the simplicity and the ability to sort of flex licensing around the SaaS model we have is really attractive.
Very nice.
Yeah. So this is a obviously kind of a busy slide, but I also think it's interesting to show the architecture because we're talking about so many different layers of security. We're talking about agents, we're talking about the gateway and the different items that we apply at the gateway level, but this gives a good visual picture. I'm not actually going to talk about the individual layers on the left-hand side. I've already spoken to those at a high level, but I want to go through the sort of the right side of the screen and what the diagram is and what we do. So it's an agent-based solution. So there is an agent, Scott, that's deployed to the endpoint. So we're really OS agnostic, whether that's a Mac or a Windows device or even a mobile device. We really cover all in addition to Linux. So we've got an agent, excuse me, that is deployed, that can be deployed many different ways. A lot of folks will do that via an MDM. We don't have today any integrations with RMMs, but just talking about roadmap, that's something that we understand that MSPs need and thrive on. And we're definitely looking at ways to make agent deployment more simple for our partners. So yeah, agent side, and then we actually have an agentless access. So this would be for consultants or folks that are coming into the organization where the MSP may not want that individual to have full access to the network. Maybe they're just coming in for a couple of weeks and as part of a legal firm to conduct an audit or whatever it may be. That service provider can actually publish applications through Perimeter 81, and then it essentially works as a reverse proxy, and those users can access and interact with that application over a web browser, but they can't do anything else on the network. So we're trying to find ways to truly distill down access to only what is critically required to get work done and not open anything else to the broader users across the network. So that's the agent side. Part of that, when we talk about moving from site-centric to user-centric security, obviously when we talk about users, the the identity of those individuals, I hate using the term users, but those individuals is critical. So the IDP comes into play massively with Perimeter 1, whether partners are using what was previously Microsoft Azure, now was it Azure Entra or whatever? Entra, Okta, Ping, you name it. If it's a SAML based IDP, we can integrate with that and bring users into Perimeter 1. And we also have a SCIM integration specific to Microsoft as well as Okta. And then, the MFA that comes associated with those IDPs, we can adopt that immediately, or there can be there's an opportunity for service providers to configure MFA directly inside the platform if that's not configured through the IDP. So that's a kind of a key piece of it. So that's kind of the user and the IDP integration. And then the other two pieces of this is the management console. So we are a fully multi-tenant management console. So MSPs can manage all of their customers, within our web clients, and they can have a drop down, and they can have obviously individual policies and manage all those customers separately. And very simply, inside Perimeter 1. And then lastly, but certainly not least, is sort of the nuts and bolts of Perimeter 1. So as I mentioned, full SaaS service, we're not deploying any hardware, but there's a gateway that is based, we've got regional gateways that are worldwide. We've got about 56 thus far, and we're constantly growing that list. And we've actually gone private cloud. So we typically deploy hardware out to our Israeli office, configure it, and then ship it back to providers like Equinix that are installing, and then we're just paying for the space and the air conditioning and all that good stuff. But they're Perimeter 1 gateways. So we can control a lot there, and it gives us the capability to be very close to our customer base, right? You can't defy physics, and sometimes with public cloud, it's difficult to get very close to the users. And private cloud allows us to do that and solves that problem for us. So these are the different pieces. So the ZTNA, like these acronyms, right? Zero Trust Network Access, Secure Web Gateway, Firewall as a Service, all happening here. Secure tunnels, encrypting traffic out to resources wherever they're at, right? If they're over the open internet. In an office, if we need to build an IPsec tunnel through an existing firewall to access some resources that are in the office, or if those resources are on public cloud, they can leverage Perimeter 1 to do that and go direct to those resources, as opposed to hopping ISPs across the internet and having a not so great user experience with network security. So that's a lot. I threw out a lot there, but that's kind of the architecture of what we do. And there's so much in the SASE stack, but hopefully that distills it down and lets folks know where we play and the general topology of Perimeter 1.
No, that's very nice. I think it definitely solves a lot of pain points and issues that service providers have when facing end users having to deal with their various environments. It's not just at the corporate office anymore.
Absolutely. Yep. Spot on. Yeah, so this gives everyone a quick view into where those POPs are today. As I mentioned before, the list of POPs that we have, the points of presence is ever expanding. But you can see we have a very heavy presence in North America, as well as EMEA and APAC. So really, regardless of where service providers' customers are based, we're allowing them to build a service around Perimeter 1 and create a really positive user experience with low latency based on the high availability and close regional access of our POPs today. And this slide just talks through the global backbone that we have. So the POPs, and I can show in the actual demo, are interconnected. So you can have multiple points of presence, and that can act as interconnectivity, where again the customer is connecting to whatever the closest POP is. So if you have hypothetically an executive for a legal firm that is based in Dallas, Texas, but maybe they've got to visit an office in London quite often, and there's a POP there, and they've got that stood up, configured, that individual will connect when they travel to whatever the closest POP is to access resources that they need. So, again, positive user experience, all interconnected, which offers high availability. We have magnificent uptime, but if there is a down POP, that backbone and the connectivity through other POPs allows for those users to stay online and manage their work with minimal to zero downtime.
Nice. And how many POPs did you say there were?
56 today.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so just a summary, kind of going through everything I've mentioned thus far is what sets us apart is really the ease of use and the robust abilities of our platform. So it's really hard, especially from a product and engineering perspective. I'm not a developer, but I've worked in product management and operations. And, when you try to strike that balance of a solution that is deep and wide and offers a lot of robust capabilities, specifically around security for MSPs and their customers, it's really difficult to make a product like that simple to consume. And our team, I think, has knocked it out of the park. And the customers that we have, that's really their primary focus in terms of when we do customer interviews and use cases, is just the fact that there's a lot offered inside Perimeter One to secure users regardless of where they're at. But it's also very simple, right? They're not going into multiple admin consoles. The policies are very easy to configure. It's an intuitive platform. So when you're talking about an MSP and time being money and the ability to get things up and running, configured very quickly, we see, especially during COVID, when folks were scrambling to get remote access tools in place, we were doing implementation sessions and helping partners get on board, in 30 minutes to build a full corporate network for their customers. So it's really unheard of. I mean, when you think about the antithesis to that, and rolling trucks to deploy a firewall and keep those firewalls patched, all this being software based, and the easy ability to configure it over the web client makes it a really, really attractive and sort of unique solution in the market.
Well, that certainly is a lot of bragging points.
Yeah, and I certainly don't want to sound too prideful in the solution, but it's really cool what the company has built, and to see the growth. And it's a transition point in the market, because again, we talk about remote work being somewhat new, but we've got to find ways to bring the best security to customers and doing it in a modern way, and that's really what we solve for. I think at this point I'm going to probably skip this slide. I can share some of this with you after, Scott, but this just goes through sort of the value propositions. Most of it's around again, hardware, and moving on to a software-based solution to build a network, and some of the cost savings and support and ticket decreases that MSPs will experience to bring good value at a really good cost, and with really low headache to their customers.
Very nice.
Cool. Transition over to a demo real quick. We doing okay on time?
Oh, absolutely. Take all the time you need.
All right, let me pull up a demo real quick.
We'll make time for the demo.
All right. Are you seeing the dashboard and the overview here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. I will just, from the outset, I will highlight there's a lot to go through. Certainly we can. I'm gonna do a high level flyover of the product and what the different features and functionality is. But if anyone wants to do a deeper dive demo, kind of explore it a little bit further, we've got lots of resources to be able to do that. So, I mean, for your audience, partners@perimeter81 would be a really good email. I'll pop that up maybe towards the end, or just reach out through our website, and they can schedule a demo and go through a deeper dive as well. But hopefully this gets everyone started and gives the context that's needed to see the value that we provide to service providers. So this is the web clients. As you can see here, this is the multi-tenant architecture. So I've got multiple customers under what we call our parent organization, which would be the MSP account. It's key to note from a licensing perspective, we want MSPs to have a really great experience with the platform and even use it in-house to be able to work off of it and secure their own network. So we do offer NFRs to all of our MSPs, and certainly inquire about that as well. Be really good to get folks on board and get a feel for the platform. It's a way that we show sort of our investment in the community and allowing our product to be leveraged by our partners. So this would be a screen where you just see a high-level overview of all the licenses and the gateways, the plans that those customers are consuming. So we have multiple plans depending on what portions of the product or what policies the individuals would use. Being a SaaS product, right? We have a very simple billing model, so we offer sort of pay-as-you-go monthly on a month-to-month basis, as well as annual plans as well for our service providers. And then I'm going to
the service. I want to stop you. The service is month to month, like you said. So there's no extended contracts or anything, unless I think you offered a annual there too.
Yeah, that's correct. They could choose the annual, but other than that, if they wanted to choose a monthly, it would be a pure month to month, no long-term contracts or commitments associated with. And they can, a service provider can fluctuate licenses on the month-to-month basis very simply, just adding them directly here in the web client or removing them, whatever they choose to do for their customers.
Okay.
Yeah, real simple. Yeah, so sort of the meat of the platform is the private access and the internet access, these two things that I've gone through earlier in the presentation, but we're going to hold off on showing that. And I'm going to go down directly into the integration piece. I'm not going to go through each one of these. I will start off with the identity providers that we have. This would be where a IDP would be configured. So again, we've got Okta configured here for this account. So this could be, again, Azure. This could be any other tool that the managed service provider is using for their identity protection, our identity provider, not identity protection provider, to enroll users. And then we have API support as well. So we've got the ability to manage a lot of the capabilities of our platform via an API. So if that's the choice that the individuals want to leverage and they're using a Terraform or some sort of a platform to manage product, we provide that support here as well.
Nice.
Yeah. And then on the integration side, we do have a handful of integrations. This would be more around logging and things that are coming off the network. We are ever evolving our capabilities there. Being a network-based solution, it's really important for MSPs, obviously, to see what's happening on the network. So the way we primarily do that today is allow them to either send those events to Sentinel or Splunk, but we understand that might not always be an option, and S3 is a really good option as well, where they can send those into S3 and then essentially pull those into really any tool that they would like to use. And then we have a billing integration with ConnectWise Managed to be able to pull in the usage that the MSPs have through Perimeter1 and manage that and automate that billing process.
Are you looking in the future at adding other providers such as ConnectWise?
Yeah, so we absolutely are. I'd mentioned kind of earlier around the agent deployment through an RMM. So that's a topic of ours that we're very closely focusing on, as well as other PSA integrations to manage billing and ticketing and all the things that we know MSPs need and sort of thrive on to operate in their business. Absolutely. Yeah, and we welcome feedback too, right? In terms of what tools are being used by customers and prospects to be able to prioritize that and decide what work we want to be able to work on next. Cool. I will go through, this is when we talk about S3 and some of the logging capabilities, all of the items that would be forwarded to those platforms would be the activity that's happening on the network. So as an example, we have malware protection I mentioned built into our agents. So be able to see here what was blocked. A lot of these are just ICAR files that were done through a test on the actual demo environment, but we're blocking malicious files. You know, we've got web activity to be able to see what was blocked, our web filtering, and I'll show that a bit further up here, is very flexible. We've got 82 plus categories, so you can configure obviously to block all known malicious malware sites. I think that's a no-brainer. But then if you want to get really granular on categories or specific sites that you want to keep your customers off of, you can certainly configure that very easily through Perimeter 1. And then we have what we call bypass rules up here as well, which allows you to maybe block everything, but then bypass that for certain applications, certain URLs that the individuals need to use, like maybe Zoom, or you don't want to block them from accessing banking sites, so we would open that up to them, or maybe healthcare. So there's many different ways to configure this through the deny and allow capabilities of our web activity.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm going to jump back up, and I'm bouncing around a little bit here, but device posture check is not something I have talked about thus far, but is really critical. So, when you think about an individual accessing the corporate network, we build all of our rules based on least privilege. So it's an automatic deny all. But once you start to allow certain access to certain resources, we want to make sure that the actual device that the customer is on has a great security posture before they enter the network. So it's another layer of security that we provide. So you can add a profile. This can be checked every 20 minutes, or it can be set to only prior to the connection, or it can be ongoing. You would name your profile, assign your groups that you have configured in Perimeter 1. Let's say I want to do this for a Windows device, and then I can see, hey, is there, is the disk encryption set? Is a specific process running? We can say, is there an antivirus it's currently on the device, and then pick one. If we don't have a specific AV here, an EDR here, we'll choose Sentinel-1. We would just choose as the process running, and then add that profile.
One thing I've got to compliment you on, the speed of the site as you're interacting and pulling down menus and everything. It's very quick.
Well, my resizing is not working. I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to close out
Yeah.
and then restart the demo, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Let me do that real quick. I zoomed in on my my mouse a little bit too quick, and it locked up. Back up here. Share screen. All right, you should see me in here now, right, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. So went through the device posture. I'm going to show real quick just 2 more remaining items, and then we'll call it good there, and leave any interest that the users may have to maybe a follow-up demo with our team. But the two primary pieces of the technology, again, private access. So the firewall that we offer here is critical. So once the network is built, right, you've got all of your users enrolled, you'll be able to set up these rules and set up these policies to either automatically deny, and that's the policy that exists to begin with, or begin to allow, which you would create these policies around. So allow a certain group or user from a source to access certain services, access certain websites, certain applications. All that is managed here through the firewall as a service, and it's very easy to configure.
Just like a regular firewall.
Just like a regular firewall, yeah. You come in here and add a rule and be able to configure this down. You know, I want to allow or deny. What's the source? Grab your groups or members, your addresses. On all these things here, these sources and these addresses, you've got objects and items that you can configure here in the platform. So very simple. And then internet access. I know we're somewhat coming on time here. I'm going to go through 2 quick items. So that's, I already showed the malware protection, which was in the, I'll discard the changes here that I'm making on the firewall. And these are different web filter rules that we have configured on the platform. So you can see you could add a new rule here. Again, deny or allow, what the source is, and then the destination for that. You can see we have different categories that we're blocking here for no malicious sites, botnets. We leverage Web Bright Cloud, so their threat intelligence is powering this solution on our gateway, and yeah, 82 categories that we're able to block against as part of our SWIG. And then this is really the core nuts and bolts of the platform. So before you would configure all this, and I should have gone through this first, I apologize. You know, first thing you need to do is actually create the network. These things are built off the network. So this is, you know, when I showed the POPs that we have across the world earlier, when you come in, when a MSP would create a network, that can be done in about 15 minutes. So they would just choose the name of the network, grab the region that they want that point of presence to be spun up in, grab the number of gateways, and then from that point forward, they would deploy the network. And you can see here just the topology of this network specifically, and the interconnectivity of those POPs, the gateways, and then tunnels that we're building into specific resources off those points of presence.
Now, you talked about how long it takes to build a network out. I don't think it's very long at all. What, 15 minutes to get it started? So what if the MSP already has several, and they want to make that faster? Could they clone an existing network?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So we don't have that ability today. That's something that's on the roadmap, Scott, to be able to allow that. You know, if they've got, a lot of times those networks are going to be unique to the actual end customer that they're servicing. But in the case where they are potentially the exact same, or they want to duplicate a network, you know, allow that to have almost a template sort of configurability.
Sure.
Is something that we've looked at pretty closely, yeah, and continue to look at.
Almost
Yeah.
like the template, it could have, you know, the typical 192 subnet, and then you could go into other subnets, and they could just choose, like with a bubble, do they want this
Yeah.
subnet, this subnet? So yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so I think that's I think on the demo side, I'm gonna stop there. I think that's a good overview of the product. Like I said, that's a 30,000 foot flyover, just a bit of a teaser for everybody, but hopefully it's enough to get some interest and show the value that we bring, and sort of the ease of use that we have built in the platform, and create some questions maybe.
No, that is awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time to give us that high level overview. I have been excited to see this for a while, so very, very nice.
Sure, absolutely. Happy to show everyone.
So, Justin, if we have members, I think you had already went over this once earlier, but if we have members who are just now tuning in and they are interested in signing up with Perimeter 81 or getting more information, what's the best way that they can do that?
Yeah, a couple different ways. They could go directly to the website, and there's a start now function. But I would actually encourage those individuals to start with a demo, engage with a channel partner manager, just to show the platform in a little more detail. And they can do that by emailing partners@perimeter81.com. And we'd be happy to assist, walk through a demo, answer any questions that your audience may have.
And if you are watching and interested, and you do reach out to Perimeter 81 showing interest, please let them know that you saw this demo and that's how you found out about them from IT Business Owners Group.
Awesome.
Sounds great. Well, Justin, we will have to do this again. Is there anything else you want to share before we wrap it up?
No, I would just say I'm excited about the opportunity that we have with the service provider community. I've been part of this ecosystem for quite a while now. I think we've got a really interesting offering. For those listening here in the near term, we're going to be at IT Nation Connect next week in Orlando. So would welcome the invite for anybody to stop by and say hi in person there. But I appreciate the opportunity to join you today, Scott. This was a really great session, and be happy to join anytime again in the future.
That sounds great. Well, Justin, thanks again for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too, Scott. Take care.
All right. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.